Hi, I'm attorney Brian A. Victor, and welcome to my first ever podcast. I am hoping for many more of these podcast episodes in which I can discuss various issues related to divorce and child custody. I am a family law, divorce, and child custody attorney in San Diego, California. What I thought I would do for my first podcast is just talk a little bit about the divorce process and how a client comes to me and the questions they might ask, and I can help answer for them. One of the most frequent things I hear from prospective clients is, I'm not really sure I'm ready to get divorced. Obviously, that's a question that each prospective client must answer for themselves. What I try to do in an initial intake interview is try to help the person in front of me figure out why it is they came to see me. In other words, they got to the point where things have gotten so bad in their marriage that they made a phone call and drove to my office to discuss the issue of divorce. Sometimes a person has been thinking about divorce for a long time and may have made some initial steps but never followed through with actually talking to an attorney about the process. Other times, the person in front of me may have just come up with a decision to get divorced and are ready to take that next step in the process. Regardless of the situation, it is my job to help them understand what filing for divorce consists of, as well as the entire divorce process. For example, are there children involved? Is there community property involved? Does the person in front of me have separate property they came into the marriage with and will need to get reimbursement for at the end of their divorce? Once I have the answers to these questions, I am better able to formulate a plan to help my client move forward with filing for divorce. It is important to remember that in California, it takes a minimum of 6 months to get divorced. Although it takes this long for a judgment from the court, I work with my clients throughout those months to focus on the issues at hand, such as coming up with a child custody plan, as well as what will it take to settle their divorce. Sometimes, if we're lucky, we are able to settle the entire matter outside of the courtroom. Other times, we can settle some of the matter outside of court and have a judge make a decision on the remaining issues. Unfortunately, there are times when we cannot settle any aspects of the case, and it must go to the judge for them to make a decision on the matter. I hope that this podcast has been informative for you in hearing about the client intake process as well as the first steps in getting divorced. If you have further questions regarding getting started with your divorce, you should contact an attorney in your area. If you reside within the San Diego County area in California, feel free to contact me, Brian A. Victor, and I will discuss with you your individual matter. I look forward to discussing further aspects of divorce and child custody in future podcasts. Thank you very much for listening, and feel free to contact me on my website, www.brianvictorlaw.com, with any suggestions you may have for future topics on this podcast.